Yo, this is your boy, the Omega Katana here, back with Mad Matt, aka Xenomaster, and today we are, hello,
I'm here.
yeah, and today we are about to talk about some modern fantasy and how reason why it's missing the point, or other words, it's not as good as the classics, or it's not as good at all. And the reason
No,
why
it's not.
to like different reasons, because people don't know how to tell a story and why the hell it's popular in the freaking first place. The reason why fantasy is popular is number one, people want to escape from reality. They want to like slaughter dragons and orcs, and try to do some quests. But the real reason why it's popular is fellowship, brotherhood,
Yeah, exactly.
overcoming challenges.
Exactly the main reason why Dungeons and Dragons took off so quick, because people want to escape from reality and go on an epic quest to slay a bunch of dragons and stop evil sorcerer lich gods from fucking up the land.
Yep. Let me see what's.
See also my bitch. See also so the bitchin' campaign Magus is running on his Discord.
Yeah, I always miss those, dude. And like basically,
Dude,
dude,
if
like
there was dude, if there was a way we could actually, I don't know, s- stream our sessions, that would
yeah,
be great.
yeah, without crashes and whatnot, that would be cool.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah,
I swear.
yeah, and
I love
also
Discord and yet I hate it at the same time. Good God.
I could barely like get around it still. I barely use it. So, oh, we got one person here. Yo, what's good, Solar Spectre? We're doing fine. We're just coming back from a failure of a stream that's the previous one, and let us tell you that we're not being hipsters here. This is our own personal opinion. Don't take it as fact, because it's not just me saying this. Let me just bring out my whole Twitter page for example on my entire
Hipsters
screen here.
suck anyways, man.
Let's just like post it on my Twitter page on the tweet. Here I'm going to bring up low. Oh, my computer's slow. Okay, so channel, dude. Fuck my channel, dude. My channel. Oh my god. Oh my god, my computer's slow. Excuse me about that. Everything went because I hate it on some certain streams. Everything decided to go freaking wrong.
Whole fucking world's against us, I swear to God, man.
Yeah. Bookmarks. Check on the bookmarks. Slow as hell. Okay, so let's put this down now. Okay, close that. Okay, okay. Stream here. Oh, God. Oh, thanks, Black Sage.
Black Sage is a cool dude.
Yeah,
Such a mensch.
exactly. Oh, damn. Okay, here's the tweet here. Sorry about that, people. And here's my take on the whole Lord of the Rings thing and why we're doing this short little stream today. And this is why and also let me just read the whole stream here. This whole Lord of the Rings controversy shows people don't know the meaning of the themes of fantasy, let alone how to write or make them appealing. And before we get started with the stream, with the thread, let's just say that I'm not being a hipster or like all modern stuff is boring and whack. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
I wonder why
I
modern
like a
fantasy anime sucked balls, despite being the huge thing. Because it goes against why fantasy is popular. People want fantasy for the dragons. People want fantasy for like a grand adventure and overcome brotherhood, not no visual novel, waifu fest, or blood and gore, TNA, Game of Thrones shock fest. No.
Thank you. And that's coming from a guy who loves blood and gore and tits and ass and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And let's just get started with my thread here. I know fantasy is about fighting evil and serving good by fighting an evil demon king or warlord to saving the people from monsters that roam the lands. But I want to hear authors' thoughts on why modern fantasy misses these elements compared to the Lord of the Rings and Narnia series. I give some examples from famous books and others from video games.
By the way, Solus Spectre, we'll do a Q&A session soon afterwards.
Oh, so Soul Spectre, does Isekai count as modern fantasy? Yes, it does. Because it features, it does the whole fantasy thing, like the dragons, the magic spells, the elves, the dwarves, etc. But it's missing the point what I'm going to get to. Because basically, it's the whole, you're learning from it. Basically, it's missing the brotherhood, the fellowship, the overcoming of odds.
Yeah, not to mention the only good kind of isekai would be something like Aura Battler Dunbine, which has a lot of the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
And of course there's Vision of Escaflowne, which also has some of the stuff we're talking about. And that one's a shoujo. That one's a shoujo show, man. Shoujo.
Yeah. Wow, yep, indeed. I thought of it's a good written show. A good written isekai.
Yeah, exactly. It's called Make a good show first, then decide what
you can put in it. Can I continue now?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Others from video games stories I mentioned features Tales of Hope, Tales of Overcoming of Odds, and Tales of Saving the World from a Demon King. The simple stuff that people don't know how to write. They mostly go on with tropes instead of being creative in how they develop these conflicts, rising revolutions, the conflict. Yeah, the whole writing system. Yeah, haven't read those rules in a while. So, the first example is the Narnia Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. The book is about a group of children who find a wardrobe in their uncle's house. My God, my phone typing, man. Autocorrect.
I know, the struggle's real, man.
Which transports them to the world of Narnia, which is ruled by an evil Ice Queen, which rules Narnia with an iron-cold fist. All was lost for Narnia until the children unite and fight the evil Ice Queen, overcoming a sibling split, monsters, and being in a magical land. They fight the witch on a huge battlefield with Narnia at stake with the help of Arslan, the lion, the guardian, and protector of Narnia. Autocorrect, sorry about that. After a major battle, the children of Adam and Eve, which they're called in the books, emerge victorious and save Narnia from the evil witch, and the world enter the prosperous age as a result of their heroics. The next example is, you guessed it, the Lord of the Rings Tower Trilogy. A tale controlling one's desires, aka the ring's infamous spell on the user. Also the tale of brotherhood and fellowship and how they overcame odds against them at the worst of time. The story is like a grand role-playing game where you travel with your companions with a similar goal and a group of hobbits who are friends, like Frodo and his friends, a grand wizard, a knight, a dwarf, and an elf who travel the land of Middle-earth to destroy the ring. Over the course of the journey, they come across monsters, orcs, and for Frodo, a disfigured man named Smeagol, who wants the ring for himself due to its effects and how the ring made him gone insane as a result. After they come across all odds, even to the point of Frodo becoming influenced by the rings, becoming almost becoming influenced by the ring, the power. However, the rings. It's not about my writing. The rings power a couple times. The heroes almost getting killed a couple times, but they overcame all of that and saved Middle Earth from the influence of the ring. The next example is from a JRPG from 1995 or the PSX remake from 1998 called Tales of Fantasia by Namco.
Yes.
Now, Namco Bandai. Oh, we got some fans of Tales of Fantasia here. The reason why I put this down because it's one of the most simplest Tales games, or the simplest Tales game in the series, about saving the world from a demon king, blah blah blah. It's simple, but it's amazing. I love the game, how it is.
Yeah, I still gotta get me Tales of Fantasia, my friend.
Yeah. It's a tale about saving the world from a demon king, but also its heroes and how the journey impacted their lives. This is why modern fantasy sucks. They can't do
everything's gotta be all fucking grim dark, and that's coming from a guy who loves Warhammer 40k. Everything's gotta be all edgy for the sake of edginess. Everything's gotta be all drab and shit, and just
we're getting bored of it.
Can we return back to the basics of what made fantasy so enjoyable in the first place?
Yeah, exactly. And everyone's trying to be like Game of Thrones when it comes to fantasy these days.
Never mind, Game of Thrones is very much overrated shit.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, that's not how you do fantasy, man.
Where it's at if you want maturely written fantasy.
Yeah. Their lives. Our story starts
with Elna Bonet.
Oh yeah, Eric of Bonet, man. Squire tonight. Yo, what's good, people? What's good? Like, we're sorry about that. Yo, Mackenzie Critiques, what's good, my man? Thanks for dropping by on the chat, on the stream. And please, yeah, most isekai is a no-no. And we just explained why. Only two good
I just explained the only good isekai in existence.
Yeah.
Aura Battler Dunbine and Escaflowne.
Exactly, dude.
About it.
Yeah, hope there's a way we can keep anime and manga out of this just once. We're putting video games in it and books.
Yeah.
The Squire Tonight stories, we missed those. We missed those at all. And this is on a video game here. If you can tell. Our story starts, I'm not going to read the whole thread because I almost actually spoiled the plot of the game. Our story starts off with our heroes fighting against a demon king named Douse. To save the world, all hope was lost until a man named Edward D. Morrison used a powerful spell to defeat Douse. Years later, his descendants arrived at the destination to see him. But due to the spell, knocked Douse into years into the future. And which our main hero it's basically a story about it's basically the same it's a twist on defeating a group of heroes band together to save the world from the evil demon king stories. But there's a twist at the end. You probably go on Google and whatnot, but it doesn't feel forced or rushed. The final example here is from Fire Emblem, the Shadow Dragon titles, which I call them, starting Marked, which is a story about a young prince who fought against all odds along with his loyal followers, or friends he calls it, against an evil empire that is controlled or influenced by an evil wizard who worships the dark dragon Grima. His name is in Awakening, but in the Marked games he's called the Shadow Dragon. It's called the Shadow Dragon. From fighting bandits to experienced soldiers, the heroes emerge victorious against the evil empire and the Shadow Dragon. The story is about overcoming all odds with a few bands of people loyal to your cause to save the world from the evil empire. Its themes are brotherhood and overcoming all odds.
Exactly. That's exactly what most all fantasy should be, man.
Yeah, exactly. Like the whole most anime and manga, sorry to say this, don't know how to do most fantasy right. They mostly get ooh, a dragon, ooh, magical spells, elves and orcs.
Yeah. The only anime I know that does fantasy right would be, I could count on one hand, Berserk, Berserk, and Record of the Lodoss War. And I'll even throw in Bastard because it's so fucking metal.
Yeah, Dragon Quest, let's just say, misses the fantasy completely. It's about dragons. It's about monsters and Demon Kings and whatnot. It forgets the one thing that it's missing from Narnia and Lord of the Rings.
I
Lord of the
disagree,
Rings.
but all right, let's keep it at that.
Yes, it's Dragon Quest. It's mostly to save the world from the Demon King, except for 11 and 8.
Yeah, that's pretty much
and 5. Only the 3 games that sort of go against the formula of saving the world from the Demon King and missing the good points of fantasy and whatnot.
Yeah, if you ask me, Dragon Quest XI is pretty much the best Dragon Quest game in a long time.
Yup, and I kind of dropped it too. Sorry about that. But really, the reason why I don't like Dragon Quest is because basically it follows the same formula it's a fantasy game, but with dragons and slimes and where are the goblins and whatnot. Even the older Final Fantasy games have better Final Fantasy 1 through 4. 1 through 6, I mean. Have
4 and 6 are basically the best games in the Final Fantasy series, if you ask me.
Yeah, can I continue here? So basically, it's structure from the hero's journey and how the quest impact the hero's lives and how it involves fellowship, the brotherhood, and fellowship. Instead of having mage, knight, monk, each character has its own purpose of joining the journey, not just helping you defeat the Demon King and you're the chosen one. No, the knights from Final Fantasy 1 was a group of nobodies, or a group of people who are called the Heroes of Light, and to stop a kingdom's strongest knight from kidnapping their princess. That right there is a staple fantasy story. And then you fight the knight at the beginning of the game, which is basically a sort of an ending of the game. But after you defeat him, the evil knight goes back in time and messes everything up. And the goal is to go back in time and fix everything he done. And as a result of their actions, your exploits become unknown because you wipe away time. It's like an unsung story. You're a hero, but you cannot celebrate your achievements afterwards. And about Star Wars,
it's more science fantasy, man.
Science fantasy. We talk about mostly with high fantasy, the sword and sorcery one.
Dark fantasy?
Yeah, we're not talking mostly about the science fiction fantasy or science fiction. And Mackenzie Critiques, we just addressed it just now. Basically, we are not. It's the same thing which is missing in most why fantasy is classic. Chronicles of Narnia. Wonder why that's a classic too? It's because a group of children got wished away into a wardrobe, to a fantasy world that is that's ruled by an iron fist, by an ice queen. They get a sibling split because, as well as the ice queen manipulating one of them into her side till he wakes up from it and goes to the side of the heroes. And they overcome across different they overcome barriers of the ice queen's soldiers and in rekindling the siblings like trust and family bond to save the world save Narnia from the evil Ice Queen. And Mackenzie Critiques, I can invite you if you want, because basically Dragon Quest is... We can just talk about this, dude. Okay, let me just send him an invite. Okay, so... Okay, what? Stop screen. Okay, stop screen. So... Invite. Blah, blah, blah. Anything to say, Matt?
Nah, I'm just being a fly on the wall at this point.
Yep.
Considering you're inviting Mackenzie here.
Yeah, that's okay, dude. But I'm still happy. Like basically, like people are missing the point. You don't go into a game like Dragon Quest is a good way to start off with. People got different ways, but it is missing a lot of stuff that makes it appealing. Except Dragon Quest 11 and 5.
Exactly what we said, Mackenzie. Star Wars is basically science fantasy.
Okay. She's fantasy tropes in space, yeah. Paladins, yup. But we're not technically talking about the whole fantasy, the whole like science fantasy or fiction here. We're talking about the traditional fantasies of like traditional fantasy, which people don't know how to write these days.
Because we either have woke idiots and it's our talentless hacks, or both.
We'll choose both. And yeah. Dude, I'm talk about a wannabe writer, but Mackenzie, I just sent you a link. Okay. Yeah, just let him know now. Mackenzie, I just sent you a link to the chat. Just check your Twitter DMs. But we're not. But most anime. Oh, we're about to talk about that, Mackenzie. And I just invite you to the whole stream.
Yeah, it's like,
dude. Like we're getting to there, dude. Like
the whole entire point of what made Lord of the Rings so enjoyable in the first place. I mean, you could have a little bit of gore in Lord of the Rings. I mean, hell, the Peter Jackson films has plenty of that, and Peter Jackson started out as a
Slogfest, dude.
Yes, Slaughterfest.
Yeah, but here's the sad thing here. The whole sad thing about most. Okay, sorry about that, Mackenzie. Okay, sorry about that. But anyways, the TNA and the blood and gore and Lord of the Rings. Why we need that in there? It's not needed. Look at the previous adaptations. It is not needed. There's plenty of violence with swords and whatnot and arrows, but there's no need for it to be like grim, dark, and Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we already got Game of Thrones, and that sucked.
Yeah, and what missing with Game of Thrones is try to be like a political thriller in a fantasy setting. People don't want to have a political thriller in a fantasy setting, except it's when it's Fire Emblem or it's when like Eric El-Benet.
And even then, the political elements are kind of toned down and not in your face about it.
Yeah. The reason why the characters are unlikable to me, it's my opinion though. Everything's all like grim, dark. Everybody like the whole setup of like having a big, huge battle. There's no major villain for the people to set aside their differences for once and go fight against this evil. There was, but
the Knight's King, and he died like a bitch to fucking Arya.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was like, good God, what the fuck are you even thinking? They're showrunners. What are you fucking high on coke or what?
Yeah, because really HBO shows, besides The Wire, every HBO is schlock. My bad. It's just like isekai anime. HBO shows are wannabe schlock. Look, there's some good schlock like Castlevania, which actually had like
is awesome.
Like it actually had like we're being a little like counterintuitive right now, but at least Castlevania had its violence purposeful. It's not like all slock fest. One, Castlevania is a dark fantasy series. Number two, it features characters overcoming a bunch of obstacles in their way. And three, the themes of fellowship and brotherhood.
Very much exactly the whole point of what made Castlevania so enjoyable in the first place.
From like a platformer to Metroidvania games to like overcoming all odds and with fellowship and how to like with the hero's journey from like a drunkard who lost his will to like a strong warrior. That is what a journey should be like.
Very much.
Yeah, and that's with the grim, dark stuff. But the lighter fare, fight against the Demon King, or the evil empire of Sauron. But yeah, I forgot my thoughts here. Because Mackenzie knows how to make a good video, so we don't want to have any arguments here. What's good? Insert here. We don't want to have arguments, but I know it's garbage, but it's better than what the woke idiots can make it compared to it.
Dude, look, my stool from a Taco Hell lunch is way better than anything a woke skull could make.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a wannabe writer, but at least it's given me some sort of hope that I can write better than them.
I'm pretty sure your stuff's not bad, you know?
I haven't released it yet. It's all in my head right now.
I know.
I need to get to like brainstorming and then writing the rough draft and then editing it and then finding a publisher. No, put it on like Amazon. And the like, look.
Or Indiegogo.
Indiegogo, that too. Thank you. But in the chat, let's just David. Yes, thanks for the heads up here. So David. So basically, the whole thing about like with fantasy, it's missing its punch. And I'm seeing like I'm going like over and over again that people saying like, oh, Mega's being a freaking hipster, that old school's better than new school. Look, dude, it is missing the point of fantasy. If you read modern fantasy books, I mostly drop them in the first few pages because it's not getting the essence of it. They're using tropes. And I have a discussion on a guy on Twitter about, on my quote tweet about, let me bring the quote tweet up here.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same deal. Whenever I tell people why most modern anime sucks, not because I'm being a fucking hipster for the sake of being a fucking hipster, is because anime these days kind of fucking missed the point of what made anime so enjoyable in the first place.
Yup, look at Mackenzie's previous tweet here, people. Look here. Let me just lap here. No isekai. Look here, like wrong one.
I mean, granted, I'd much rather watch most of these shows like Redo a Healer or whatever is popular these days over the woke shit.
Yeah.
But even then, that's like me saying my stool from a Taco Hell lunch is way better than anything the woke skulls could make.
Oh, here's what I'm looking for here. Here's from like Alexandru Constantine. Because modern fantasy authors are fat Mormon dorks with zero life experience compared to the life of your soy-faced author to J.J. Tolkien, Lewis, or Vance. They have nothing to say. Yup, here's what I wrote here. Tolkien and Lewis experienced a lot while growing up and it shows in their works. And here's what Prince LaCroix said here. I know it's a correlation between the great fantasy and authors who were involved with some type of conflict. Howard was a boxer Dunsany and Tolkien war veterans, Gamel got into a lot of fights at school. Wow, damn, man. Reading a lot of modern authors' works becomes clear that the point of reference is movies.
And movies these days fucking suck.
Yeah.
And yes, Solid Spectre, it is a shame Berserk can't get a proper anime adaptation.
Yeah.
I mean, the closest we got was 97, and even then, it should have been an OVA series.
Yeah. Yep. And we're not talking not to rock on your don't rain on your concert, but we're not talking about anime because it's not an anime topic. It's mostly how the whole fantasy genre is missing the point here. Like you get they just go with the tropes instead of how to make the tropes work.
Exactly, man. I mean, yes, everything has its tropes and all that, but the main thing is how you make these tropes work, as opposed to let's just put in every trope just for the sake of putting in every trope just to list off the check boxes and all that shit.
Yup. Yeah. Yeah. The whole I know Brian Nehmeyer of Project X, Combat Frame XC knows how to write a fantasy book, but if he can, I'll probably interview him on that. But with Mackenzie, but for real, we are lacking modern fantasy modern days. Mainstream only knows Tolkien stuff. Thank you. The elves, the spells, the orcs, the dwarves. We just don't know how to do fantasy stuff like you see on Conan the Barbarian or those amazing fantasy pictures. That's not all Tolkien stuff. Some of the stuff reminds me in the West with those beautiful paintings reminds me of Final Fantasy 1 through sometimes 6 or 5.
Don't even get me started on why Elric is an amazing, underrated dark fantasy series that very much heavily influenced Berserk in a way.
Elric influenced a lot of things, including Final Fantasy and Vampire Hunter D. Speaking of that, you know it's art in Japan. Yoshitaka Amano did some Elric work, and Moorcock liked it. Yeah, Moorcock loved it. Loved Amano's view of interpretation on Elric.
That's how deep Moorcock's work is very much entrenched in Japanese sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah. Yes. Castlevania is an amazing show, but it's still only a handful. It's a gothic dark fantasy series, like I said before. But it's not just your gore, shock fest, blood and gore just there. It's actually had a story. The main villain had a reason to go against his crusade against the villains, gets burnt out, is this meaningful? Gets killed. The power struggle comes along. And all the world hopes is on a man who was a drunkard and broken, lost his faith in the world, teams up with a traveling Normad witch, and a son of the villain. And they overcome across their own problems and conflicts when they're together or when they're separate, and they develop over time. Like a JRPG party. Some people don't get along at first, or it's not like how most fantasy everybody gets all along and everybody gets all along, be all howdy doody and whatnot. Where's the fantasy people actually fight against each other or have bickering arguments which affects their performance in battle?
Dude, I would totally kill for a Castlevania JRPG. Not gonna lie.
Same here. Oh, Green Knight? Let's check that out. There's this movie called Green Knight. Looks amazing. Might reignite the dark fantasy in live action too. Mackenzie, Yes, Mackenzie. Look this guy up. Look this guy up. People in the chat, go Google him right now. Like this guy's badass. He is not an anime character. He's cooler than all the anime characters. He makes versus Noctis look like a clown. That's how badass he is.
Exactly, man. And that's coming from humongous anime fans like both of us, man.
Yeah. Yeah, let me just point. I wish I can pin this, but look here, people. Elric of Elmela Benet. Yeah, the character that most fantasy characters are modeled on, yet don't technically give him credit or Moorcock at all. I tried finding his books and the like, and I can't even find them. That's how badass he is.
Yeah, I actually have a copy of canonically his first adventure called The Ruby Throne.
Nice.
It's in bande dessinée format.
Oh, the French comics. Always try to get into the French comic stuff. Like they're Mobius and whatnot.
Dude, bande dessinée is just something else entirely, and that's coming from a huge manga nerd like myself.
Yeah. Yeah, like seriously, people, if you want some fantasy, you gotta get out of the anime mindset because it's not giving you your fix at all. Like they forgot the whole meaning, why it's good, and even though with what's his name, Brian Nehmeyer and crew, like their beliefs infected their lifestyles and imaginations. Like seriously, I agree with their part. Like it doesn't have a foundation. They don't have no brotherhood or what's that word? Camaraderie. You can't. There's no camaraderie in a modern fantasy world. The people are always like have their own agendas. The heroes are idiots. The villain's synthetic, even though he or she is evil. The characters are all preachy. Look, no one's to be preached at all. We're not at church or at the masjid.
No, we are not. We go to entertainment to be entertained, not to be preached to like a bunch of fucking lemmings.
Yeah. Oh, the scene of the European comics, I don't know too much of. I'm still a newbie on that.
Yeah, same here, man.
Oh, thank you, Solid Spectre 78. Thank you so much. Soul Eater fan, I see, because of your logo right there, and Fullmetal Alchemist, but same magazine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for the most part, I usually mostly avoid modern anime and focus mostly on the classics. And basically go and try to find out as much about bande dessinée as I can and see what works for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, dude. Bleach as well. Thanks, dude. But we're not being hipsters here. We're just saying it as it is. Like basically, whenever those young adult stories with the fantasy works, always the same exact things. A dystopian future, a jerk protagonist.
Don't even get me started on why most young adult novels suck. Good God.
Yup, always follow the same tropes and story formulas, which I cannot stand at all.
And don't even get me started how much they got dystopian futures wrong. Like Hunger Games? That's more like a ripoff of
Battle Royale? That book by Battle Royale?
I'm more talking Running Man, but Battle Royale also counts.
The Running Man? Oh, no one talks about the Running Man. No one brings that up too.
Wish they did, because Running Man's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
Here is Sub-Zero. Now it's just plain zero.
Yep.
God, I love that line.
Yeah. A lot of the old comps are up for grabs, like Johnny Homicidal Maniac, something I'll buy. We're not talking about Johnny the Homicidal Maniac by the creator of Invader Zim right now, because I love to talk about that, but we're talking mostly about with the fantasy genre. And let me just go on Twitter so people want to join. Because we need to, I wish Mackenzie can just join because he got a lot to say. And let's just get that reminds me. You need to get the reason why with that with Dragon Quest is because I'm really it didn't feel like a grand adventure to me. To me, it felt like a bunch of tropes that's barely been played with. Yes, Dragon Quest started the whole JRPG trope formula and the like. I don't know if there's like books and stuff only left in Japan about goes into details with a story and plot, but it's like saying like, oh, I see. So it's like saying like going to the same formula over and over again for like 90% of the time. That each character most of the time, let's just join the hero because it is our destiny to go fight the Demon King and save the land. Slay some monsters, kill some bandits, kill the Demon King. The world is saved. With Dragon Quest XI, I appreciate it because it made it a bit different. The main character goes to like...
There was actual camaraderie between your party members, for one.
Yeah, and two...
I especially loved Eric. As the first party member you got, because he's snarky and quick-witted. Mm-hmm. Oh, and don't even get me started on the flamboyantly glorious Sylvando.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like what would happen if Rob Halford of Judas Priest was your party member?
Yep. Eric is awesome, but if you played the Switch version or so, you know that one general that was against you at the beginning of the game and thought of you as the Demon King?
It's better off if you don't spoil it. I'm still near the beginning of the Switch version.
Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah, it's fine.
But basically how it starts, remember how the game starts, you visit the king and he gives you on the quest to save the world? That turns it on its head, and you've been framed to being the Demon King, which brings Quest to the whole Dragon Quest formula for so long. That's why it's been successful.
Yeah, it kind of makes you wonder if the rulers of the kingdom who pretty much ganked your ass were actually corrupted by the evil power and whatnot.
Yeah.
Kind of makes you think.
Yep. But if it's got to get off the topic for a bit and talk about Final Fantasy and Star Wars, if you guys don't mind, in chat and Mad Matt here.
Oh, I gotta go. Dinner's ready.
Okay, I'll see you. Man, that reminds me. Smell dinner in my place too. He'll be right back.
Yeah, I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll just so. Anyways, let's just I'm just going to say with Final Fantasy, with Final Fantasy 6, 7, and onwards, despite with 7 and 8 and 9 featuring and 10 featuring camaraderie in the same story structures of the Final Fantasy games without crystals and whatnot, but I'm talking about the ones that are like 13, 15, pre-Naoki Yoshida 14, Final Fantasy 1.0. They're Final Fantasy 15. They're like missing the point why Fantasy, the game sucked, and why they're missing missing the whole element of fantasy as a whole. Because basically, it's not just with the whole SJWs with Final Fantasy. It is due to it lost its appeal. They don't know where to go with the series. They mostly focused on the graphics and not about the story or the gameplay. and you see, and mostly you wonder why all the classic Final Fantasy games are better than the modern ones. Shouldn't it be the opposite? No, it's not, because they're missing like a simple story. Everything has to be super complex and politically driven like 12, convoluted like freaking 13. 15, there's barely a story. Like, everything's all slapped together and whatnot. And that replaced an actual, that would have been an amazing dark urban fantasy story. And let's not get started with Final Fantasy 1.0 missing the whole point and like focusing on graphics and not about the player experience and the story. If there was a story at 1.0. And people mostly care about money these days. They don't care about why fantasy is a genre that's beloved by millions of people around the world, or the Western world, that is. That one, it's been infested by like people who don't care about the product. That includes SGWs that just want a quick buck. And two, why you see all these individuals try to like, I'm a fan of this and that, but it ruins everything. Look at Star Wars, episodes 1 through 6, the hero's journey. One rises, one falls. One gets comrades from a thief, another his master. One gets manipulated, one gets advised and taught. One falls to the dark side and one gets stronger by it. And it comes together at the end. And these two are a father and son, which they didn't know at first till like episode 5. And through episode 6, they reconciled their relationship when one sacrificed his life to kill Palpatine. As one insert here said, money ruins creativity, which is exactly, look at this chat. Money ruins creativity. They just follow tropes without a plan. A trope is a tool at the end of the day. If you don't know how to use a tool, or use the tool improperly, it's meaningless. And you see, Hollywood doesn't know how to like not make fantasy. They don't know how to write science fiction, urban fantasy, romance stories, comedies, just adaptations to make it easier these days. My throats are kind of dry here, so people in the chat, for those who are still here, please leave like the reason, like besides what insert here said, money ruins creativity. It's not just it ruins creativity, it ruins integrity too, and tenacity. Instead, people want to please people on social media, which is barely 5% of your freaking audience. Look, most people of fantasy and sci-fi don't go on social media. A large chunk of them, they're too insular for that stuff. A lot of people who are fans of science fiction and science fiction is science. What am I at now before I got lost here? Modern GTA Driver gave a good point here. Modern fantasies seem to be based on modern reality, urban fantasy, while older fantasies seems to fire it off of Final Fantasy type angles and on what a person can think of. The older fantasy titles relies on like dragons, orcs, spells, people in like medieval clothes and whatnot. But what's missing the point here is when it's missing themes of like what makes it appealing. And yes, isekai is supposed to be like empowering, but it's not. It's actually real empowerment is not like having all the waifu, the pretty women, being all powerful and strong. No, real empowerment is like overcoming obstacles that your audience can relate to. How the heroes can overcome like fighting hordes of bandits to like coming together and solving issues. When two friends started to fight, they reconciled their friendship. Once on the dark side getting manipulated, you go save his butt. Or he realizes error of his ways and betrays the evil Witch King and joins on the side of the right. And I'm referencing a story called The Lion Witch and the Wardrobe, which a character by the name of Edward, forgot, I haven't read this in a while, but he was manipulated by the Ice Queen to be on her side, while the others joined with the people, the citizens of Narnia, who are against the Witch Queen. One doesn't want to fight at all. The other wants to protect her new friends. The older brother wants to fight to protect the people of Narnia like a knight. And each sibling of the Narnias of that book has a theme of their own, and they have to overcome it, and which they represent, or they have to overcome their obstacles every step of the way. The ring from Lord of the Rings is a representation of one's desires, which most human beings cannot control. Money, power, fame, lust, etc. Gluttony. The ring represents all due to its evil power. It influenced its user, or those who come across the ring. Does modern fantasy does that stuff, like have like themes to actually relate its audience, to bring them in, like fighting against your own desires or overcoming all odds to emerge victorious from evil, or the simple good versus evil story? Yeah. Most people seem to like watch movies and just follow the tropes. Like, it's a fantasy story. You must have orcs. You must have elves. You must have magic spells. You must have swords. If large companies thinks that nobody's on social media is a good thing, I just have to take a few ideas from 4chan, and I want to see how that goes. Oh boy, let's not get to there, people, because 4chan is a hellhole. Let's just get started on a synopsis I haven't put on paper yet. There's this in the world of it takes place on a fantasy world that's mostly European based. Your token European based. But with each continent lies a different area. Like, you have your continent of Africa, your continent of Asia. Hold on. Hello, I'm back. Just had to eat dinner. Hello? I'm here. I just had to eat some like potatoes and meat for dinner. And sorry about the whole thing, so it's good to be back. I'm really sorry about that. Me and Matt had to eat dinner. So what I'm saying before we had to go eat dinner is that the story takes place in a fantasy world with like that's mostly like science and science fantasy without the space and whatnot. It's like science punk or something like that. And we still can't hear you. Hello, is this thing still on? Okay. People in the chat, say if you can hear me.
Hey, I'm back.
Oh, so yeah, we're just eating dinner. Yeah, I was just done eating dinner.
Also, what up, Retro Benson? How's it going?
Okay. So thanks for joining in. And yes, we got Black Sage in the house, but he kind of left probably because we were eating dinner. Damn, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of sucks.
Well, give me the Cliff Notes of what I missed.
Nothing. I was about to explain. I was explaining why modern fantasy sucks and whatnot, and how one like, yeah, this is what One Up says here. Yeah, nothing much besides me eating dinner. I was explaining why modern fantasy. I went off topic for a bit. While modern Final Fantasy, the current gen games, and Star Wars sucks. How they missed the point of why they love those IPs so much. They are missing camaraderie, brotherhood. They're missing like the hero's journey. They're missing a likable villain that you can root for. Arden was the exceptions. But she should have been in a different game. And also with Star Wars, I went into like a triad with episode 1 through 6 and why those were loved. One had a rise and fall, one had a rise and became a legend in his own right. And then I was starting to go to like how I could make a fantasy story. If you guys are interested, because it's just like coming off of my head right now. So basically takes place in a fantasy world where people are like in like it's mostly in like in I need to get to work on it, but it's a really simple story about fighting good and evil, and it's about a prince who has his kingdom overthrown by the evil empire led by a demon king. And over the years, he begins he learns how to fight and learns how to lead. And all he had left is with him and his comrades. And yes, I influenced it by the Shadow Dragon Chronicles of Fire Emblem, the Marth games for short.
And the best games in the series next to Path of Radiance.
Yeah. Oh, what's good, Blast HD? I'm surprised you're not. Sorry about that, dude. Because basically, I was eating dinner, so it was silent as hell. So good to just swing on by and say hello. Okay, we are not. When I try to get into like fantasy here, I want to try get into like less anime influences and more like other sources like Asian, like Chinese fantasy, African fantasy, your Tolkien European Welsh fantasy.
Dude, I'd be stoked at the idea of Berserk by way of Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
The better version of Game of Thrones, in my opinion. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. And that's not an anime. Those are Chinese story. That's a Chinese tale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And funny how China devolved into communism because argle flargle blargle, but we won't get into that because politics is not allowed in there.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. I want to go. I wonder what be our next topic on this, because this is kind of fun. Like, our examples of why on
Oh, we can
why
always talk more mecha, dude.
mecha. Let's get to like the mecha on the next stream. Like, why people hate mecha, and
or more
our
specifically,
recommendations.
why no taste having dipshits hate mecha,
Yeah.
but the actual real fans of anime are humongously huge into mecha.
Yeah. Yes. And how anime is outselling, no, manga is outselling American comic books amongst the youth, and especially with women.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But let's stick to
The fantasy.
mecha for the next stream and why it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, let's stick to that for the next topic, because with fantasy and whatnot, it's a genre that's been overused and overdone. It is due to people's greed. They have no tenacity, let alone integrity, let alone brand integrity for that matter. People mostly follow the tropes from A to B to Z without learning their meanings and how you could use them. And what one insert said, some fantasy, I say most fantasy genres tend to be like in the 1700s to 1800s. I think of having a fantasy setting like during the time of cars and planes are being invented. You mean the steampunk era or the 1940s?
I'm pretty sure he's talking steampunk.
That's Final Fantasy VI. Late steampunks, 1900. And what GTA Driver said, I had an idea for 3 different fantasy settings. The one being Egyptian, one being noir, like in the 30s, and the third being steampunk.
I like the steampunk idea.
And what he said, the 1940s. World War II, you mean? World War II fantasy? No one makes World War II fantasy, despite being oversaturated with lots of war games, World War II. But the 40s is much more than World War II.
Yeah, there was also Conan the Barbarian at that time.
Yeah. Yes. My type of fantasy setting is like when you heard of the game Final Fantasy Versus 13, the prototype of 15. That's me. It would have been the new fantasy. With cars, guns, Yakuza, Mafia.
Exactly how Final Fantasy 15 should have been, but they decided to make it into a road trip video game.
Yup. And I haven't forgave him for that.
No, neither have I.
Yeah.
I mean, Noctis should have been a cool character, but instead he became your typical anime whiny little bitch.
Yup. You see, Noctis, he wasn't like an anime pretty boy. He was like mostly like Eldrick gone anime. You know Eldrick the Eldrick
of Melniboné? Yes.
Yes. He's like him. If you look at this Versus 13 material.
Yeah. He's basically about a Stormbringer away from being full-blown Elric ripoff.
Yeah.
A Razor Fist.
Mm-hmm. Razor Fist does not like FF15. Like he doesn't like most FF at all. He mostly...
Well, the only FF he does like would be Tactics, mostly because it's not so much anime, and I'm using the finger quotations here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not to mention, Evilise is such a really cool-looking really cool fantasy world. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Razor Fist, I got blocked by him because I called him out, but I kind of like some of his opinions though. But most I do not like.
Yeah.
With anime, oh no.
What up?
What up? Because most with anime, it tends to be bad.
Yeah. Most of his political opinions, I very much agree, but when it comes to anime, that's where I have major issues with, because I don't know about you, but when last time I saw anime, it was cyberpunk, ultra violence, hot babes and space bikinis and giant ass motherfucking robots, not fucking bullshit like One Piece or Bleach or Naruto or Black Clover or Eromanga Sensei or God Help You Darling and the Franks.
Oh, dude. I just got onto that dude. He does not like anime that much.
Yeah, I mean, he is very picky on which anime he enjoys, but for the most part, he's more than likely gonna shit on your cornflakes if you even mention the word anime around him.
Yeah.
Like, good God. I get that. I get he doesn't have a hate boner for Japan and whatnot because he likes Japanese metal, but Jesus Christ, man. Chill with the fucking hate boner towards fucking anime, for God's sakes. It's not all that bad.
Yeah, with fantasy, I think he has the same thing too. Like his opinions on why most of the mediums suck except the classics.
Exactly, man. I mean, say what you want about Razor Fist shitting on The Witcher, but at least he has a solid point. Elric is basically a big fat plagiarism job to. I meant Witcher is a big.
What's his name again? Geralt. Geralt.
Yeah, Geralt is basically poor man's Elric of Melbourne. In many ways in one. Almost to the point of plagiarism.
Yup. Completely scary, dude.
I mean, granted, I get that it's Poland establishing its own fantasy CIP, but there are better ways to do it, if you ask me. Other than just flat out plagiarizing everything that made Michael Moorcock such a badass name in the realm of fantasy and sci-fi.
Yeah.
Oh, we're good, Retro Ben-san.
We're good, man. Oh, with GTA Driver, I'm back. Yeah. Are there any fantasy genres that aren't used much? Urban fantasy, Final Fantasy Versus 13. Okay, what's the other? There's a couple of them, but the one I can think of is Final Fantasy Versus 13 with urban fantasy with cars, guns, modern day stuff, internet, cell phones.
Yeah.
African fantasy.
Then there's also cyberpunk fantasy, like with the Shadowrun games. But
Yeah.
That's more sci-fi fantasy than anything.
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about why modern fantasy sucks nowadays. He's Retro Ben-san.
Yeah.
And why the classics fucking rule.
Mm-hmm.
See also why Record of the Lodoss War and Berserk got it so right the first time.
Yeah. One's dark and gritty for a purpose, and one's like a tribute to like Dungeons and Dragons. What the good parts about it.
Exactly, man.
And I wonder, speaking of non-fantasy stuff, Transformers is like the least cucked franchise they ruined. Dude. How they going to cuck robots in the first place? They can't make a
they'll
black...
find a way. Please just don't tempt fate, man. It's better if you don't tempt fate. They'll find a way.
Yeah.
But for the most part, yeah. Transformers is actually not bad. Actually survived mostly intact.
Yeah. And those guys mostly hate Gundam. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, that's my main issue with the main writers of Transformers nowadays. They hate fucking mecha anime, even though the source material.
How they hate mecha anime if they're writing robots. They probably did not like the original Transformers at all because most of the time, like 95
was fucking Diaclone, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It originated in fucking Japan, for God's sakes.
Yeah. With Transformers, you're watching a mecha anime. And two, when I see Transformers fans, there tend to be Voltron and Robotech fans and Gundam fans. The Unicron trilogy, that's an anime. Thanks, one insert here. And also, the Transformers fan base love mecha shows.
Exactly. And you want to
wonder why
the creators want to tell me they fucking hate mecha anime? Motherfucker, please.
You wonder why modern Transformers suck. Because they probably did not like G1 at all. They probably like the movies. Or they're probably one of those grifter fans that just got attached to the franchise.
Grifters, man.
Yeah.
They fucking piss me off to no end. Especially Professor Otaku.
Yeah. Hey, fun fact. You know the whole like what's that Transform? I'm still on Transformers, but why in the hell the Transformers movies sucked?
Because Michael Bay's a talentless hack excuse for a director.
Yeah.
The real question we should be asking is, of all the directors Hollywood chose, why the fuck Michael Bay?
No other dude.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I personally would have been fine with Transformers directed by, I don't know, James Cameron. I mean, he would have made a profoundly epic Transformers saga with Optimus Prime as the main character.
Yep. Kota Hirano had better.
Oh yeah, way better than Bay, and very much self-aware of his own foibles too.
Yeah. And look here, most anime fans love Transformers to death.
Yeah, I got into mecha because of Transformers, believe it or not. Yeah. I mean, Optimus Prime was my fucking hero as a kid.
Yeah.
And still is even now.
Here's the fun part. We're not talking about Transformers, but He-Man. Probably the same people actually despise He-Man.
Oh, God.
Yeah, He-Man is...
on the He-Man reboot. The second
I'm not the fan of He-Man. He-Man, but I have a bad feeling they're going to screw it up.
They will. You can quote me on that one. Because Kevin Smith kind of lost the plot and forgot why he became a nerd in the first place and decided to pander to the woke scolds.
Why people tend to care about some randos on social media with a bird? I don't know.
Your guess is as good as mine, but my best guess, moral authoritarians tend to be the loudest bunch of assholes this side of Bible thumpers.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so with He-Man, it's about saving the world from Skeletor with a magical sword. Yes, hold on.
Yeah, as Omega Dude was probably saying, He-Man is basically a love letter to everything awesome about Conan and whatnot. Badass muscle dude with a big ass sword, fighting against an evil lich sorcerer who wants to conquer the entire galaxy and all that. And yes, Retro Benson, it is a Netflix original. Of course it's gonna suck. Unless we're talking Castlevania, and even then that's more a King Diamond in the rough. And Konami, if you happen to stumble across this podcast, let me just say this. Castlevania JRPG with Julius Belmont as the main character in the Vampire War of 1999 fucking win! Konami ruined Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, yeah, that's kind of a no-brainer, but still. Really? Of all the things to ruin, they had to ruin Yu-Gi-Oh! But yeah, I am dead serious about wanting a Castlevania JRPG set in 1999 with the whole final vampire war with Dracula. I mean, for one thing, the premise is just too fucking awesome to even begin with.
Oh, I'm back, people.
Oh, hello.
Hey, Hiriano Monet? What's that? A scan latest site by Kota Hiriano. What? Did he actually found a manga site?
Apparently he did.
It's all in Japanese, though, let me just say.
Yeah, and yes, Retro Ben-san, I can understand not supporting Netflix. That's why I buy Blu-ray.
Yeah. And one more thing, people. Sorry to interrupt him, but thanks for entertaining the chat. Is always support physical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I'm planning on buying Castlevania Season 1, 2, 3, and 4 on Blu-ray.
Yeah, I'm just like, yeah. Hiroano Moe's. Oh, I see now. I just looked on their site now. They like a fan site that scan out there that translates Hiriano's manga. His art just looks amazing, man.
Very much, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else before we go? Because this is probably the end of the stream here.
Nothing much really. Just be excellent to each other and party the fuck on, dudes. And Season 8 of Game of Thrones can suck a big fat pile of moist dicks. And the showrunners too.
Yeah, screw the showrunners and screw the season. Screw Season 8, screw Season 7, screw Season 6, screw Season 5, and screw Season 4 too. Screw all the seasons with Season 8.
And yes, Record of Lodoss War, Curb Stomps, Game of Thrones, all the days of the week. But then again, that's really not a hard feat to if
do.
you ask me there, Ben.
Dude, Chronicles of Narnia is better than like Game of Thrones. Chronicles of Narnia, the real Lord of the Rings, and insert said there's 2 hentai on there. Dude, Hideano is a hentai artist, by the way.
Oh, I can even any hentai is way better than Game of Thrones if you want.
Okay, stop it. Okay, dude. So thanks for tuning in despite me having to stop to eat dinner, which is delicious, mashed potatoes and meat, really delicious stuff. You should try it. And if you like this stream, please leave a like in the comment box. Leave a like and leave a comment in the comment box below the video. When it's done, you can watch it any time of the day, and you can probably watch it on like podcast form on the Omega 13 Dimension podcast on Anchor. If I decide to go back onto it and edit video, get an MP3 of this and put it on there. But yeah, you see what I'm saying? And don't hit that big red subscribe button for and hit that blue bell for notifications on new podcast episodes and streams. And that's all to say for now, people. Stay safe, stay well, and always invest in physical. That's all to say for now. Sayonara.
Peace.